4 pads, 1 goal. I want shiny black paint, and I don't know where to start.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today, we're gonna go in depth on polishing, shining, making black paint look spectacular. How do we do that? We have 4 pads. We have 2 wool pads. Nick is a fan of wool. I'm a fan of foam.
I love one-stepping most paints.
Right.
With our DA wool pad.
Right.
And our gold standard polish. I find it delivers exceptional results, especially in the real world. You cut through a lot of the crud that comes from these daily drivers. You deliver so much shine. But we have a cutting pad for the rotary. We have a yellow pad. We have a red pad. Truth be told, Ivan, what we're about to teach isn't just about black paint. It's about any paint color. But
right.
Black seems to be the one that everyone wonders, how can I make this shine the most?
Right. And the answer to the question that we get a lot, which pad should I use on this vehicle? The answer is do a test spot. That's what we're gonna do. Let's switch the camera angle. Let's go to the hood.
Ivan, this paint is scratched up. I think before we even polish, we should talk about what is polishing paint.
Right.
And after 40 plus years in detailing and working in body shops, owning, what should the goal be as it relates to polishing paint?
The goal should be to clean the paint, to remove the small surface defects, but some of the deeper stuff we're actually gonna leave. The reason we're leaving it is every time we polish paint, we're actually damaging paint. And a lot of detailers don't realize that polishing is damaging, because what we're doing is removing clear coat. We say paint, what we mean is the paint system on the car, and that is an e-coat, that is a primer, that is a base coat, the color, and then a clear coat on top of it, for most vehicles.
If I'm sitting at home, I want scratches removed, I want shinier paint.
Right.
You're the one who's saying, you can mess this up. You can create a whoopsie that is very expensive to fix. We don't want to remove our precious clear coat if we don't have to. Every time we do that, we're endangering the life of the clear coat. This is 6-year-old paint, Ivan. What are you doing with that little tool?
So this measures the thickness of the paint, and I'll go around different areas. So at 112 microns there, got 139 there, 113 there, 131. So we know this panel hasn't been repainted, but we also know that it's very variable. And when we get close to 100 microns, that is the danger zone. We don't want to go below that. And the more aggressive we are with our cutting, the more paint we're removing. Now, before we even start, we want to inspect the paint. We've washed, we've decontaminated, we've used water spot remover, we used iron remover on this paint. That is very, very important to get the basic down. We need a clean surface before we start polishing.
Well, because I just dripped a little bit of my rinseless wash damp towel on the paint, and then I mopped it up, and people may think, oh, he just took a towel that was wet and he wiped the paint. That's probably enough to prep for polishing.
Yeah, no.
That's not.
And then inspect. You can take it outside, look at it under the sun, or get a light like this, and then you can see all the defects that we have.
So I'm seeing a lot of kind of what looks like spider webbing or swirls. What is that?
Those are actually a collection of straight lines, but because we have a pinpoint of light, it looks like a circle, or it looks like swirls. And some people think, oh, that's caused by washing in a circular motion. No, it isn't. They are a collection of straight lines, and those happen from all sorts of things. Snow brushes in the winter, just driving. You have grit on your car. It starts to rain, you're driving down the road, that grit is scratching along the vehicle as you're going down the road 60 miles an hour.
No matter what you do, things like that are going to happen.
They're going to happen.
Even if you've polished your paint to perfection and you live in the snow, there's gonna be snow that starts to melt as you drive. It's gonna be scratched. Like, there's lots of things that will degrade your paint, so don't freak out. Don't be overly scared about it.
All right.
But Ivan, as an experienced detailer, I look at how deep these scratches are and I'm thinking, I'd like to pull out the wool pad on the DA and cut these out.
Right.
Even though I know I'm supposed to start with the least aggressive method first, Ivan, I want to start with the wool pad. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Okay, talk to me.
The wool pad isn't always the answer. And being the most aggressive isn't always the answer. Always start with the least aggressive. Now, I know that this paint will need, at a minimum, our gold pad, but I want to show you, I'm gonna make 4 stripes in the paint. 1 with each pad, that way you'll be able to see the difference. To give you an idea of what paint thickness is, we'll measure a spot here. So we've got 112 microns. Let's put a Post-it note underneath it. 199 microns. So this Post-it note is 87 microns thick. A lot of newer cars This is the whole paint system. That's the E-coat, the primer, the clear coat, and the base coat. All together, that makes up that 87 microns. Luckily, this paint's a little thicker. Like we said, we've got 112, 120. We'll say an average about 120 everywhere. Not bad. The newer the car is, the less paint it has on it.
The Post-it note is a great example of visual representation of how little clear coat we have to work with and why the least aggressive method first should always be your approach.
Right, now, I've started with a damp pad. One spray of the gold standard polish, not two, not three. And with the rotary, this is our least aggressive method. The rotary at speed 1 with our red pad. So that is the first pass. Now, step up to the gold pad.
There's a reason why Ivan's doing all the test spots. Sometimes my technique can vary. It's important to do the exact same thing for each test spot, right? In terms of passes.
You want to have the same pressure, the same number of passes, the same speed. But you'll notice I'm not using the same machine. The red pad works best on the rotary. It'll work on the DA, but it works best on the rotary. The yellow pad works best on the DA. And what's a DA, what's a rotary, Nick?
A dual action polisher, it does two different things. The rotary moves in one direction. The dual action rotates and oscillates.
Correct.
Boy, the sweet smell of the gold standard polish. Are you polishing on what, speed 2 or 3 on the DA, Ivan?
I was at speed 3. So speed 3 actually matches speed 1 on the rotary. So we have the same amount of action going on. Now, the next level of aggression is our wool pad on the rotary.
Our specific wool cutting pad for the rotary.
Yes. You never want to use a long nap like this on a dual action machine. You're just asking for haze because the dual action, as Nick said, rotates, but it also oscillates. And those little oscillations make it so that these fibers want to go back and forth, back and forth. Instead of working, all they're doing is scrubbing around and, not doing much. They're just creating haze. But on the rotary, it bends over, does what it needs to do, holds the abrasive, carries it forward. Every pad is prepped the same, has the same amount of polish because with the trigger and the sprayer on the gold standard polish, we can definitely say we have the same amount of polish every time because one pull of the trigger, doesn't matter who's pulling it, it's always the same amount coming out. One other thing, when we're polishing, we don't want to create heat. What's the temperature there, Nick?
66.3.
66, okay. Now we are going to create a little bit of heat, but not much. Again, speed 3, same speed that I did here. This is our most aggressive pad in combination with the gold standard polish.
So 86.7. Now that may seem like a stark difference.
You're right.
But we're not shooting up to 127.
No, the idea is to keep it under a 30-degree difference.
Got it.
Right. Now, we do have one more aggressive combination. and that is the gold standard compound.
Uh-oh, the big guns.
Yeah. So this, if you really want to cut and remove paint, is a great combination.
So you could use this on your wool cutting pad on the rotary or the DA cutting pad. Which one would you recommend?
The most aggressive will be the DA. The rotary will give you a nicer end result, nicer finish. But if you actually want to cut, if you actually want to remove a defect, the DA is the fastest way of doing it. It also works well with the gold waffle pad. So as an intermediate, if you don't want to step up to wool, but you want a little more cut than what the gold standard polish can do, add the compound. Measure the temperature there, Nick.
All right, 67.1.
Yep.
Now it's 91.4, Ivan.
Right, so we're still under that 30-degree mark, which is what we want.
Yeah, even at the highest level, it was 94. Yeah, so we're under 30 degrees.
Yeah.
And I know when you say it, it's a nice safety buffer. Like,
right, yeah.
People will probably go 50 degrees and the world won't end. So 30 is a nice safe place to
No, paint manufacturers say 30 degrees.
So don't go over 30, got it.
Right. So rinse the stamp and towel to remove the polish residue.
I'm kind of excited to see what we're gonna get here. I don't know why I flipped there. Why did I flip the towel?
Detailer's habit.
Let a little Mother Nature drying action happen here.
Yeah, it's a little humid in the shop today, so.
Ooh, there's a lot to look at here.
Yeah, so we'll start here. This is with the red pad with the rotary. That's our least aggressive. So we still see some defects, but we have great gloss and shine. As we transition to the gold pad, we have more clarity in the paint because we've removed more defects and good gloss and shine there. Now we go rotary with the wool pad. We can see the swirls that the rotary has done, but we've removed more material. Then we go to the next section with the DA, and we have here what's called DA haze. So we see a bit of haze, but we've removed more of those defects. And then the most aggressive combination, the wool with the DA. Now we see a lot more DA haze, and the DA haze is caused by that dual action. But we don't see any of the deeper lines and scratches that we had before. Now, admittedly, I just did 2 quick passes, up, down, up, down. That was it on every surface. So if we're wanting to do just one step, the gold foam pad is the one that does the best job. This is where we've done nothing to the paint. This is the red pad. So you see we've got gloss, but we still have a lot of the deeper scratches, and I can see them visually even without the light. Next, we have the gold waffle pad, and that's the one that's actually done the most amount of work here. In terms of we have both gloss and we've cut out some of the defects. Next, we go to the wool pad on the rotary, and we see that we've cut out the deeper defects, but we have a lot of the swirls caused by the rotary. And rotary swirls are something that happens when you're using a wool pad. No matter how good or bad the compound is, they're just there. Next, we have the dual action machine with the wool pad. And you can see we've removed a lot of defects. When I'm looking at it without the light, I can see that the paint is a lot flatter and I have less defects there, but I have a bit of DA haze. It's glossier here than it is where we had the rotary. Finally, the DA with a compound, we still have some DA haze, obviously, but the scratches and everything are gone. Now that we've seen what the test spots have done, we know that we would never leave the wool as is. That when you're getting out the wool, especially on the rotary, that always implies I'm doing at least 2 steps. So we'll do that second step, and that is the rotary with the red jeweling pad as our finishing step. We'll go across, we'll do that, and we'll inspect again.
Ivan, you just did the rotary, but not everybody has this tool. A lot of people are just gonna start with a dual action.
Okay, well, I'll do a second spot here with the dual action and the gold pad.
Me personally, when I started mobile detail again, I got the dual action cord-free first.
Yeah.
And then about a week later, I ordered the rotary because I wanted it. So it's like, I see the value in both. I see the need for both. I know one is just the way everyone starts, but
yeah,
it's nice to have both. It really is.
Yeah, and there's no right or wrong answer. Which one to start with? There's really no, one is the ultimate, this is your starter tool, and I'll have a little bonus in a minute. Let me finish this. Nick, you mentioned starter machines. Someone who wants to get into polishing at a very, very low cost, a little dual action sander like this, they're great. Or a random orbital sander. This one was what, $60 on Amazon, included 2 batteries. I mean, you're not getting a lot of expense. One of our pads will do a whole vehicle. Actually, we'll do multiple vehicles. So 1 pad, 1 bottle of polish, 1 of these little sanders, and we'll just do a little test spot here and you'll see actually what it can do. Never put clean polish on a dirty pad. I just took this off the machine. I'm going to clean it before putting polish on it. So a couple sprays of rinseless wash, run it against the pad washer. Spin out the excess liquid while the pad is still spinning. 1 spray of the gold standard. That distributes it everywhere. And I'll do a little test spot right here. So this one is an 8mm stroke machine, and we'll demonstrate something. When we say 8mm stroke, it rotates the dual action, but it also oscillates. And that oscillation is an 8mm oscillation. You'll have some little palm sanders that will be a 2 or 3mm oscillation. They'll work almost as well. But when you get into something like this is ours, this has a 25mm oscillation. So you have that rotation, but you can see just how wide that oscillation is. This is when we say the stroke or the oscillation of a machine. This one's 25. The other one that we used there was an 8mm. Now, Nick, time to wipe off and reveal. And when we're using the rinseless dampened towel, we're not trying to wipe all the polish residue off. We're just emulsifying it, getting it damp, making it easier to remove.
I don't even want to wipe yet.
No, you can actually let it air dry just a little bit.
It's way easier when you let it air dry a little bit.
Yeah.
If I try to fight the rinseless wash residue with what's left of the polishing oils, I can be like, this method doesn't work. I'd rather use a dry towel. But when you really almost let it dry, even if it's honestly dry on the surface, it feels like it's just super easy at that point.
Yeah.
See, in this way, I'm not shaking the car. I'm not using a lot of effort. This is not actual wiping. It's just dry buff right here.
Yeah.
I'll let you take care of the other half there. Isn't that easy?
Super easy. So let's first look at the 2-step with the rotary. So here we have 2-step with the rotary, the red pad and the red pad twice. Here we have the red pad, or the gold pad followed by the red pad. Here we have the rotary followed by the rotary as well with the red pad. Wool pad followed by red pad. This is the DA with the wool pad and followed by the red pad. And finally, we have the gold standard compound followed by the gold standard polish. Now let's move up to the other one. Gold standard compound followed by the gold standard polish with the gold pad. Gold standard polish followed by the gold standard polish, wool pad and gold pad on the DA. Here we have the rotary with the wool pad followed by the gold pad. Here we have 2 passes with the gold pad with the DA. And finally, red pad followed by gold pad, which is a little backwards than what we normally do. And then our little bonus section, you see we've increased the gloss, but we don't have much correction there. But if you're just trying to enhance and gloss your paint, you're going to do that. If we go over to where we haven't touched it, now you see all the defects. We don't have gloss, just not fun there. Coming back over here, we started having more depth, more shine, more gloss.
Ivan, what are your thoughts on the 17,000 test spots we did here?
Well, the 2 passes with the gold waffle actually is the one that's the nicest looking. Now, the most correction we got was the DA followed by the DA again, wool pad, gold pad. Obviously, that is the one that you're gonna get the most correction because we use the compound. But going back in steps, the gold standard polish followed by the gold standard polish. So there we had compound followed by polish. That is the one that has the best correction. And looking at it with the light and looking at it with the other lights here, it's very different in terms of what we see. And as a detailer, you have to realize what your customer sees, not necessarily what you're seeing with an inspection light. Because the inspection light does one thing, the actual bring the car outside, what does it look like, is a completely other world.
Do you recommend like a 2-foot or a 5-foot kind of inspection in that way, just to be like, what is the rest of the world gonna see?
So the rest of the world, the closest most people will ever get to their hood is this. They're not down here with an inspection light like this. So from a couple feet away, that's great. Now, we're looking at these spots from a couple feet away. They all look good. The one we did with the rotary and the rotary look pretty good. The DA followed by the rotary is the one that has the most clarity. So when we're looking at it from an owner's perspective, not down here with the inspection light, we can see where the test spots are. We can see the lines between them. But the one that has the most correction was obviously the wool pad with the compound, followed by the foam pad on the DA. That's the one that has the most correction. That's the one that we've reduced the most amount of defects. But the most gloss actually backs up a step. And that is the wool pad on the DA followed by the gold pad on the DA. That's actually with this paint where we get more gloss. And when I say this paint, that is very important. Every paint is different. Every paint will react in a different way. Nick mentioned in the opening, he likes to use the wool pad. And that's probably what he would have started with on this car. Oh, we're just gonna do the wool pad, get it done.
Just because there's a lot of deep stuff in this paint.
Right.
I was like, okay, let's get that out.
But the wool pad leaves a bit of a haze. And that haze takes away from the effect that the consumer wants to see.
But sometimes the wool pad doesn't leave much of a haze depending on the paint.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It cuts out the visual scratches and it's really shiny. And I'm like, okay, it's a little hazier than I just used gold, but it got rid of a lot more with the wool versus the gold pad. I'm like, I'm gonna go wool.
That's where the test spot comes in.
Exactly.
So that's why we wanted to show you this on this hood, because it's a very soft paint, meaning that it reacts, the haze part of it comes with a soft paint. If you have a hard paint, and typically a German car will have hard paint, Japanese will have soft. Those are generalizations, and just like stereotypes, they're not all true. But that being said, a harder paint, the wool pad will react better. A softer paint, a foam pad reacts better. And for me, the top choice is actually the gold pad.
If you're gonna have one pad in your life and one machine, it's probably the gold standard polish paired with the gold standard yellow waffle paired with our dual action machine.
Yes.
If you didn't know anything about test spots and you just did that on paint, you will clean it, it will get shinier.
Right, and you'll get rid of some of the defects. That is, in a nutshell, if you only have one, those are the ones you need, those are the ones you want. But we have choice, and that's where test spots comes in. And one thing I've seen many detailers do is they'll do a test spot and they'll put tape around it. It's hard to get rid of that tape line afterwards. The other thing is they're sometimes bringing some of that adhesive from the tape into the test area and it becomes a problem. And they'll do a test spot over and over on the same spot. That's not a good idea because you're getting false results the second time. Whereas this, we did individual lines and individual lines this way, so we have real test areas that we can see. And like I said, with the diffused light of the shop, they all look good.
What do you say we just hit this with a gold waffle pad, gold standard polish, dual action, even out the hood and then do the rest of the car?
Exactly. The other thing is, if Nick would have done the test spots, the results may have been different. Everyone has a different amount of pressure, arm speed, etc. So if Nick would have done all these test spots, instead of myself doing all the test spots, we may have gotten slightly different results because the person running the polisher also has an effect on the test spot.
That's so true. So for you, do your test spot, don't listen to us, trust the results, and then go ahead and do your vehicle.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we'll do that, but you should see us in another video, and that video is right here.
Where we show you how to 3-step polish. Yes, it sometimes is a necessity, and yes, it can be done.